Hey guys, it's Auqium here, and it's a little bit late, and I probably should not be playing right now, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it anyways, because I am a badass. Now, I apologize if my voice is a little bit too quiet, or if my dogs start randomly barking because of my cat running through the yard. I don't fucking know, but I hope this is a nice, flawless video. This is a full map tracking tutorial. My last one, not only did it get a lot of criticism that was not useful at all, it wasn't constructive, but I got a lot of hate, and I didn't feel like I did it correctly. I'm not taking it down because I didn't like it. I'm sorry, because people didn't like it, but I'm taking it down because I personally, when I posted it, felt like it was a shitty video. Not that it didn't contain valuable information, but I just felt like I could explain this way better, and that's what I'm here to do today. Now, let me turn to day, because that makes me depressed. The first rule about full map tracking is that you must satisfy, is that you have to track the entire X and the entire Z length of the map. Now that is 20,000 by 20,000, that's 20k, 20k. So that's a 40,000 block long area that you must track. Now there's many ways to do this. And the first issue that people have with this rule is that they don't fulfill it. They don't satisfy that rule. They choose to do something like this, where they create a gap in their little wall, kind of here. And the way that they do that is by not tracking spawn. And that is a major mistake for anybody choosing to track full map. Now, the reason why I think that a lot of trackers are really bad, because they criticize me on this, is that they don't understand the negative influence you get from tracking spawn. They believe that sitting at spawn and doing /track all and then going and using that to temp track is useful, but it's really not. It's not useful to use the spawn tracker to legit track people. It's useful for knowing whether or not they're off of spawn. And the issue that this creates is a gigantic rift. Now, this rift will be represented by normal glass, and the reason why it occurs is because these gold blocks have been set back by 1 to not track spawn. This 500 each direction is where spawn ends. In mcteams it's 800, so it's even worse. It's an even bigger area that you're not tracking. So just to not track this area, you actually have to not track a humongous portion of the map. Now, //wand, I'm going to take this and expand it 44, set that to glass, and then I'm going to take this one over here and do the exact same, and this will represent the area that you do not track. So take a nice look at that. Anywhere under that glass dome, not necessarily dome, but that glass sheet, is not something that you can track if you choose not to track spawn. It's a pretty big hit to your full map tracking, and you want to sacrifice all of this just so you cannot track this single area, and that is not a risk you want to take. Just trust me on this. It's the same mistake that Studies makes. It's the same mistake that Crackit makes. A lot of the large OG trackers make this mistake, and it's easy to fix. Track spawn. Get somebody on spawn if you need to that will sit here and check if people are at spawn when people warp. It's always useful to have people who are going to do that for you anyways. So always make sure that you track spawn. That is like literally rule number 1, because it's the exact same rule as always track the entire area, because spawn is included in that area. Now I'm going to kind of diverge off of that single rule and look into the functions of building trackers, how much resources they're going to take, and what kind of designs you can use, and the advantages of using multiple trackers as compared to fewer trackers. Now here we have a single tracker that its range is 20k blocks each way. It takes 1 diamond block, 2 gold blocks, and this entire thing will be 25 stacks of obby in the actual game. Now remember, this is just a representation. That's not the actual size of the tracker. Now, what this tracker here will do is give you a 20k narrow here and here to track full map. That is literally the worst you can do for Fullmap. You can't do any worse for it. You can't get any worse of a narrow. However, it only takes 1 warp, 1 diamond block, and 2 gold, and 25 stacks of obby. Now, all obby is conserved for tracking full map. It takes 25 stacks to track full map. However, the better the narrow you want to get, and only use 25 stacks of obby, the more diamond and gold you're going to need, and the more warps. Now, this is shown when you have 2 trackers, and these ones each have 10k narrows, and they are half the size, basically, of that gigantic one over there. Now, this will take 2 diamond blocks and 4 gold blocks. However, the amount of obby is conserved, because they are the exact same length, and they are the same design. Now, if I were to 5 stack and then layer that tracker, and then I was to do the same here, the amount of obby would still be the same, although more than 25 because it's a bigger tracker. Same with the amount of gold. If you have 10 gold on that tracker, and then you go and use it on this one, it will be doubled just as these ones have been doubled. So you have 4 here, you have 2 here. Now, let's not use 2 trackers that have 10k narrows, but let's use 4 trackers that have 5k narrows. Now, these trackers, they're actually the exact same as those, except for the fact that the diamond block has been placed in the center, and they've been separated from each other. Had I placed the diamond block here, the obby going that way, and eventually the gold at the end, it would actually give me a 10k narrow. But the advantage of having it in the center is that it divides it in 2 to give me a 5k narrow. If I were to then 5 stack this tracker, and then layer the tracker, I would then be able to achieve a 1k narrow on the stacks, and then possibly a 500 narrow on that layer. So if I do these with 4 of them, I'll track full map with a nice 500 narrow. That's honestly not the best narrow. Now, the disadvantage of using so many trackers is not only does it use only 4 diamond blocks, 4 warps, and 8 gold, or much more than that if you use a nicer design, which you should be, but if you lose one of them, it's going to take a massive hit to your obby. The amount of obsidian that you have in one of these is 1/4 of your 2.5 dubs. If you're rolling with the correct design for 4 Hunsos, it'll take you 2.5 dubs, 80 gold blocks, and 20 diamond blocks. Now, if one of these gets raided, literally 1/4 of your resources are wiped out. Now, getting 1/4 of 2.5 dubs of obby is the biggest bitch ever. It's not fun to have to recover from that, and in that time that you're recovering, these other trackers can only track 2 of the quads of the map, only that one and that one, because only one of your Z trackers, or actually these are X trackers, are still up. It takes all 4 of these trackers to track the full map. Now, this problem is greatly reduced, but not solved, because as long as your tracker gets raided, you won't be tracking the full map. But when one tracker gets raided, you'll be tracking at least 7/8 of the map as compared to only half of it, which is pretty damn... No, you'll be tracking 3/4 of the map. Still. No. Wait a second. Yeah, you'll be tracking 7/8 of the map still. So you'll still be pretty much good. No, you'll be tracking 3/4 of it as compared to 1/2. Yes, that's correct. So if one of these trackers gets taken out, not only are you not going to lose as much obsidian, you'll still lose the exact same amount of diamond and obby if you stay with the same design, because of the rule that this is doubled. However, the obby stays the same. You'll lose less obby if one of these get raided, and the exact same amount of gold and diamond as if one of those got raided, but it won't be as big of a hit to you. It doesn't feel like one, because you're not losing as much obby to make these. If one of these gets hit, you can still track most of the map fairly well while you get that next one up, and you have your friends obby genning for you, and it's just not going to be a giant crutch to you. That tracker will no longer weigh you down as much as this gigantic one over here. Now, the advantage of having 8 trackers as compared to 4 is the exact same as having 4 trackers as compared to 2, or 2 trackers compared to 1. You get a nicer narrow. Now, these have a 2.5k narrow each way, and if I were to put them over here, and continue them all the way to the end, I'd actually be giving them a 5k narrow. However, again, putting them in the center will have the narrow, which is what you want. If I were then to 5 stack this tracker, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then layer the tracker, just show you that real quick, I would be able to achieve a 250 narrow. Now, a 250 narrow is absolutely perfect for temp tracking trackers, and I guess I'll cover temp tracking in this video, so I'll talk about it a bit more later. But it's actually, having 8 trackers is very, very useful for temp tracking. Or you can use 16 trackers, but that's not as good, and it's going to waste a lot more resources. Now, those ones required 8 gold blocks, 4 diamond blocks. Now, my trackers were 10 times larger than that, basically, and my trackers over there, that were that design, took 80 gold blocks, 40 diamond blocks, and 2.5 dubs instead of 25. So it was 10 times larger, basically. Now, these ones over here will use the exact same amount of obby because of the same design, but they will actually use double the amount of warps, double the amount of diamond, and double the amount of gold. And I've kind of spat that in your face quite a bit, so I hope you've gotten that through your head. This one will now use 160 gold blocks, 40 diamond blocks, 40 diamond blocks, that one used 20, and 2.5 dubs. So that's the resources this will take you. Now, a problem that we encounter with horizontals, and the reason why you should never use horizontals to track Fullmap, is something that I call a non-variable coordinate. Now, it's not like I'm just pulling this shit out of my ass like a lot of people think. It does actually make sense and mean something. A variable is something that is changeable. If you are in at least 5th or 6th grade math, you know this. So, actually maybe 6th or 7th grade math. I don't know what you people in the country, in America, do, because most of Americans are really fucking dumb. Like, no offense, though. A lot of you guys are dumb. But I grew up in America, so no offense. Anyways, so you have 2 non-variable coordinates, which means they cannot be changed. Now, a problem that we encounter over here that really isn't a problem because these are slidable, is that to put these trackers down, you have to have them at this coordinate. They can be moved up and down this, but they can't be moved side to side on this one coordinate. They have to be up and down this. Now, that makes one of the coordinates predictable, but then you'd have 20,000 more places to hide this tracker that people would have to literally x-ray just to find. Nobody can just walk up and dig down and think your tracker is there, because they literally have to x-ray it or track you, which, no matter what, is going to happen if it gets rated. At least you take the whole idea of me just walking to certain coords that I think your tracker is going to be at and rating you out of it. Like, you don't have to deal with that problem anymore. Now, I was talking to a few members of the team called ICE. I forget who exactly is on it, but I rated one of their pyramid trackers, and it was a horizontal, and I talked to them about why you should not be using this. Now, they thought they would be tricky, and that they would center their tracker over here, and kind of like stagger their, not necessarily stagger, that's the incorrect term, but really just change up the way they tracked, and it really messed it up. And what was wrong with that tracking is that they basically shifted their tracker over, and they no longer tracked this area, and it created that rift, once again, that we talked about earlier. And horizontals are just a huge problem, because if you do try to slide them over, you're either going to get you're not going to be tracking full map, or you can track full map, but you'll have to extend your tracker arms more just to do so, and that's not what you want to do. Trust me, you're going to get these really weird coordinates. So, if I can go to 2 coordinates on the entire map and then figure out where every single one of your trackers are, that's pathetic. Do not do this. Do not use horizontals. Ever. Unless you plan on tracking a single area of the map. But using only one tracker, like, in my mind, is very wasteful, because I now have this idea of X and Z trackers constantly being there. You can track all the way up and down this area, and you can track all the way up and down this area. While this only gives you an actual box of coordinates you can get X's and Z's all over, and it's so useful. So I might as well just set up full map. So I don't ever make single trackers. I think they're gross. It's either full maps or nothing for me. And I hope you guys think that too. Always try to be on top and not on bottom. Now, I'm going to go show you my personal tracker design. Well, it's not really my personal design, but it's a type of tracker. Now, this type of tracker utilizes temp tracking to its fullest. Excuse me, I just burped. Sorry, I went to Brewbaker's today, and now I'm losing my voice. And it was delicious, and we brewed our own beer and root beer, and I drank a ton. It was good. Now, let's go on to this. Now, this is what a normal X tracker would look like. This is what I used to use. And what this allowed was for me to narrow people's coordinates here to the 25. So I could continue narrowing on these. But a idea is that you do this, and you basically you stagger these gold blocks in exchange for putting the diamond literally right next to each other, so that all you have to do is come in and do /track all, even though I don't have the plugin, and then step up, track all, step up, track all, and then you warp out. And you narrow them to like 250, which is what I'm currently using, is a tracker that narrows to 250 using something like this. If you saw my last video and just some random practically guessed my tracker perfectly, it's really not that hard to come up with. While mine is a little bit superior to a lot of other versions, it's still something that you want to keep in mind. Now, temp tracking, the best way to do it, and this is the way Dan Comics explained it to me, I've always had this thing against temp tracking. I never really liked it. Now, Dan Comics came to me, and I don't know why we got in a call. I don't really remember, but I'm kind of happy that I did get in a call with him, because he's honestly a really cool guy. I gotta thank Dan Comics for teaching me about temp tracking. So you're going to have this tracker here, and this tracker actually narrows by 50. This one will be 50, 100, 150, 200, 250. So this tracker only narrows 250. Now, I could basically just make a 250 tracker, divide it by half, and go temp track kids all day. But this will just be an example. Imagine this is 2500, or 1250 if you want, and this is maybe 1250, and this is, it just keeps going down by a ton, basically. And you want to temp track them. So what you would do is, my narrow on here is 50, so let me make this a day again, that's depressing. My narrow on here is 50 blocks, so I'm going to track them, track them, track them. He comes off right here, I come back here, and I track all. So he's here, I come back here, and let's say, so this should be 50, 100, 150. I'm going to subtract half of my narrow from what I just tracked, and that's where I'm going to make my temp tracker. Now when you do this with X and Z, you got to make sure you do it with both your X and your Z, so that they come to a point between that 250 by 250 block area that you just tracked, if you're narrowing by 250. So basically, this would be 150 blocks that way, so I'd actually travel 125 blocks that way, instead of 150. If my narrow is 50, and it should be just like right about here, no, it should be a little bit more. If my narrow is 50, and half of that, yeah, it should be like right here, and half of that is 25, I'm going to get basically his chords, and then subtract 25. So I added 150, and then subtracted 25 back. Now, it's easier just to actually do the math before you go to the chords than to go to the chords and then walk back half your narrow. Now, you're then going to set up this tracker. This is a really basic tracker, and it's just a temp tracker, honest to God. And get that out of the way. Yeah. Alright. Let me grab some dirt real quick, and this is basically what you're going to set up. I'm going to remove my chords because you don't really need them. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. That's a temp tracker right there. This will track 25 in each direction. The stone is like a gold block. The cobble, if I then start ringing this, is equivalent to an obsidian block, and obsidian is equal to diamond. 3, 4. So whatever your narrow is, you're going to add 25 to it. Now our narrow was 50, right? So I can actually do this, but I'm going to show you what it would be like for a 250 tracker. So mine goes to 250. For a 50 block, it would be this. You could literally just set this up. Like, that's literally all you have to do for a 50 block tracker, is set that up and you can track him. I mean, you've already got him narrowed pretty well if you have that, but just ignore that. That's for a 50 block. If you're narrowing by 250 and then you subtracted the 125, you'd set up this tracker that you see here. So what you're going to do is, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, that's a 100 block tracker. We're then going to go to 125 on this. So we're going to fill this up to here. We're going to go to 125. So we can track 125 blocks in all directions, which is half of our narrow. You're then going to add, let me fill in that obby right there. We're then going to add a layer of dirt or netherrack or anything really above that, and it's going to actually go out by 1, like this. So it'll go out by 1, and we're then going to place a block here, a diamond block here, break that. You're going to place your gold blocks on the tips. Then you're going to fill in this with obsidian. Now this will take you less than half a stack of obsidian each time, and you're going to mine it up, but you're only going to lose 1, 2, 3, 4, you're going to lose 5 pieces of obsidian each time you actually track somebody. So for every track you lose 5 pieces of obsidian. Whoop-de-doo. So what you're going to do is you're going to sit here and you're going to go track all, and this should go 150 each way. Now half of your narrow is 125, and just to make sure, you're going to add a 25 block kind of bolster to that to make sure that you're tracking the correct area. And so when you're here, this will track 150, and you're just going to keep going track all, unknown command, type /help for help, blah blah blah, and eventually you're going to get him on, actually you're not going to type track all, track person's name. You're going to track the actual person. And when you get him on 2 ways, you're immediately going to break this block, and since there's no block here, you're then going to keep tracking him down this thing until it's eventually broken. Now when you use this in game, it'll actually break down these things, it'll actually completely destroy themselves, and it'll narrow them really quickly. You then just go see where the last spots he was on at, and you then go from this exact coordinate, and let's say he was 50 blocks west, so I travel 50 blocks this way, and he was 75 that way, I travel 75 that way, and then those are the exacts that you dig down at. Now you're going to wonder, let me just delete this real quick, why did I have you put that dirt layer there? And I'm going to hope you're smart and you understood why. It's because I used to have this problem with temp trackers where I would be left with just this horizontal floating in the air like this. And I'd set HQ up here, and I'd just break down this thing, and all the blocks would fall, and it was not fun going to retrieve them. I'd take tons of fall damage, because sometimes you have to put your temp trackers a bit up in the sky, like maybe 15-20 blocks off the ground, and it was just a pain to break the thing down. So by having this layer of dirt, you can then sit here and mine up all your blocks very safely, especially if you replace the dirt there after you're done tracking. You have the guy's coords, you mine up your tracker, and all you have left is this dirt thing. You can then choose to leave it there, or you can choose to even break that down and then gather that up as your final loot of dirt, and then you can go track the guy. That's literally all you have to do. And honest to God, temp tracking, it doesn't make you bad, it actually makes you better. Temp tracking will always be a useful tool in a tracker's arsenal, and anybody who temp tracks purposely has my respect because they're a good tracker and they understand its uses. If you temp track somebody because you try narrowing to 25 and you are incapable of narrowing to 25 because like you just can't track, then it becomes pathetic. Then people like XDersey can call me bad, but I purposely temp track people instead of tracking to 25. You get much better raids by temp tracking and narrowing 250 real quickly and just getting their coords and then temp tracking them later than you do sitting there trying to wait for them to warp in repeatedly as you sit at your track. Excuse me, I keep burping. As you sit at your tracker. For the people who sit at their tracker and try to narrow to 25 to get my coords, I've already got yours to the closest 125, and by the time you even try tracking me, I'm already digging into your base. It's so useful to temp track. Now, I guess that really kind of concludes on what I want to talk about tracking-wise. But two more things I really wanted to talk about. One was my black ice texture pack that I have. It's honest to God a really sexy pack that me and Regolith have been working on. Just want to kind of show off the tools. Slash game mode 1, or actually 0. So we have the sword here. Everything goes from black into descending order, down to white. So you have some custom tools here that are all pretty much really nice. You got 1024 swords, custom enchanted item glint, but even better is the terrain slash suicide. Damn it. By the way, this is Minecraft Kits. It's opening up New Year's. Yeah, New Year's. The terrain is 100% edited by me and Regolith. We redid all of the trees, the leaves, the grass, even the ferns and everything. Basically, all the leaves and grass are changed. Hell, even the vines are. Now, we then custom did the logs. They're really cool. Yeah, it's honestly an amazing pack, and I really hope you like them. Let's go check out the swamp over here. So, even the mushrooms are changed. They're nice. All the swords. You got white, and then it goes lighter, then darker, until finally diamond. Yeah, some really nice packs. If I show you the iron, I guess I can show you that. It has, I don't know if you can see it or not. There we go. It has ice particles on it. Like, it looks really cool. Looks maybe a little bit scratched up or something like that. I don't know, but I'll be releasing this pack really soon. I'll also be releasing my server, mcteams.com, very soon. I have very high hopes for it. So I just want to thank you guys for watching my video. Please comment, like, and subscribe if you have not already. Share this video with your friends if you want to teach them how to track. But thank you all. I will see you guys soon.